super proud of the guys coming out ready to play early. We've struggled to get started the way we wanted a good bit this season, so it was refreshing to come out and go up 17-0. Did feel like we had a couple little soft spots during the game. We let them go on a 10-0 run there in the second, responded well in the third. We let them go on a 15-0 run, benefit of some turnovers. But all in all, the guys responded really well. Never let it get inside a 13-point game, which is huge for us, especially with some of the games we've had in previous weeks. Collectively, really complete game. Defense stopped the run, made them one-dimensional, rushed the passer well. Offensively, got the ball in the end zone, benefited from a kind of freak special teams play late, but it was really good, solid game all in all. Some things to build off of and work on as well. It was not perfect by any means, so still plenty to work on. But I did feel like we accepted a challenge of coming in and taking the next step and preparing ourselves to play against a team that was more than capable of beating us. We watched the way they played Fresno, and that's a quality football team, as we all know, and they got that win. We just wanted to make sure we did our part, and I think our guys did that. Different challenge this week in the sense of non-conference game. It's not normal, not all that usual to have a non-conference game this late in the season, but it's a challenge that is a road game at a place that doesn't typically have great attendance, not easy to get to, very frustrating style of offense. They are willing to sling it around from sideline to sideline. 37-31 with San Jose, tied or within a 3-point game late in the game with Hawaii. Very comfortable to be in that environment. So the challenge this week for us is really just to continue to improve and travel well against an opponent that I would expect will be favored to beat. And that's an environment we haven't been in a lot. See how we handle it. So we'll get together today at 5:00, start kind of preparing for that and see how guys handle it. Questions?
Coach Al from the radio station. Can you just playing a non-conference game this late? Do you like that? What's your feelings about that?
There's a sense of I don't know. You get into conference play, and it's win or go home kind of mentality. You just can't afford to make a mistake, and we clearly don't want to give a game up here, but it doesn't have the ramifications of losing a conference game. So I don't know if it relieves some stress on guys' shoulders for a week. I don't know. We really just talk about being 1-0 each week anyway. We haven't talked at all about the conference race. We haven't talked at all about the standings. So it's just another game, another opportunity for us to get better. I don't know that it impacts us a whole heck of a lot. The challenge to me is just it's going to be a different environment than we're used to. It's going to be a road trip that's not easy. You don't just fly in and stay in Las Cruces. You end up staying in El Paso. You drive over. They don't particularly have great crowds. You're not going to get a lot of energy in the building. They're 1-7. We dealt with this on the trip to UNLV. So I think the challenges have a lot less to do with it being a conference game and way more with just the environment we're going to be stepping into and how we handle it. Some serious noises going on.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. It sounds like the building's coming down on top of us, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I wish you well there. Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. I saw the picture on Twitter of you consoling Andrew Peasley after I'm assuming it's the second turnover. Just curious, what did you tell Andrew?
Yeah, I just told him, man, I love him and keep his head up. He was just trying to make a play. Clearly, it's stuff for us to learn from, but he's got a great career ahead of him, and that we were going to lift him up. I was really, really encouraged by how many of the guys went over and did the same thing. He's a teammate that everybody loves. He works his tail off. He's earned the right to make a couple mistakes, and he takes it very personally. I just want to let him know that hey, I wasn't giving up on him. He'll get more and more opportunities as his career develops, and I think he has a huge career still ahead of him. Just doing my best to let him know that I know those weren't intentional mistakes. They were just mistakes that come from maybe lack of experience and just the situation in the game, and he'll learn from them and he'll play better in the future. I think that's part of my job, is let him know I'm not giving up on him.
Coach Jake Nielsen, Elion Noah, back-to-back 100-yard rushing performances. Just your thoughts on his efforts these past 2 games.
Well, a lot of people go into that. Obviously, the offensive line did a good job, but he's running the ball very well right now. Very physical nature of how he runs. Broke a lot of tackles and did a great job of extending some of those and getting the extra hard yards. He just gets better with every carry. Very quietly, efficient, and effective, powerful runner, which we desperately need right now, and it's going to be extremely important down the stretch. There's going to be some games just like this one, I hope, where we're in the lead and we need to run the ball and run the clock and manage the games, and the ability to run the ball in packed house kind of defensive looks and run the ball physically and break tackles is a skill that we desperately need.
Jake just asked a little bit about Noah, and I was going to ask, but in your evaluation of offensive line in this game, obviously you did much better there, but you liked the matchup, you said, going into the game. So what was the evaluation of how the offensive line played and most getting at other games, things like that?
Well, for the most part, we did a good job. We did get it still exposed in some areas. Some of their quickness and movement was a challenge at times. They were heavy blitz, and we knew they might be. Did not always handle the blitz and the extra guy and people crossing our face well. Moats played well again, with the exception of a couple times he got exposed, which is going to happen. He's still learning, and they did have some speed and quickness up front. This was not as much of a power game as it was a quickness and speed game. And when we covered it up well, you saw success. Handful of times we did not end up settling for field goals, end up having to punt a couple times where we really want to. And I think that kind of came to just the way they moved and how quick they were, and we just didn't get bodies on them. But all in all, I mean, you score 51 points, they're doing a lot of good things. You rush for over 100 yards again, they're doing a lot of good things. And so I think with what we have and who's healthy and who we're missing and guys being plugged into different spots, you got to be pretty pleased with the job they're doing.
Coach, you spent some time coaching down in New Mexico.
Yep.
Coach, you spent some time down in New Mexico coaching and stuff. Do you have any specific experiences going to Las Cruces and playing the Aggies?
You know, I've been there a lot, to be honest with you, from Middle Tennessee to Lafayette to Southern Miss to Arkansas State. I don't know. I'm not sure I've played on the road at any place any more than I've played there. And what I've always noticed is a group that honestly just plays you very, very hard. It's not a great, easy trip. As I mentioned, it's a challenge. It's not just fly in and drive across town. You're on the bus for a while, coming out of El Paso. The wind can get bad on you and blow, make it a challenge. But the thing I think, and Doug does a great job of this, is his kids play hard and they're going to play. They're used to playing, as underdogs a lot. They're not typically favored. They're okay with that. They're play from behind a lot. They're okay with that. And they'll throw the ball around on you. And if you're one tackle away from being behind real quickly. 37-31, I think, to San Jose. Late in the fourth quarter, still tied with Hawaii. That kind of tells you all you need to know, man. You've got to go play good ball, and they're not afraid of the moment at all. And I think Doug does a really, really good job in a tough environment. So I'll try to explain that as best I can to our guys and prepare them, and we got to go down there and handle our business.
Can you go a little more detail into Doug Martin and what he likes to do offensively? You're talking about throwing the ball around. Are they mostly just that way with Johnson now back at quarterback?
He just has always done a very good job of making you defend every skilled player. He is willing to run the ball, but he's a get five guys out, empty sets, post over swing. I mean, he just does a really good job schematically of utilizing his talent and making it where you have to defend the whole field. Protectionally, at times they struggle, but they make enough plays and slow you down in enough different ways that I think he does a really good job with the talent level that he has. And you've got to be sound. You've got to be sound, and you've got to rush the passer well and make the quarterback uncomfortable, or they'll light you up.
Is Johnson a good quarterback? Third quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I think he fits what they do really well, and he's been hit a lot. That's the key is can they protect him and can we get to him and make him uncomfortable, but can make all the throws without a doubt, can make all the throws that they need, and he's got good skill guys across the board. I don't know that one particular guy stands out as compared to the rest, but that's kind of his MO. Use them all, make you cover them all, and the backs always tend to get the ball out of the backfield a lot as well. Pretty similar to what we just saw in terms of Hawaii, in the sense that you got to cover the backs. He's going to get it to everybody, and you have to play really sound across-the-board defense.
Coach Anderson, I just wanted to ask you about their linebacker, Chris. I'm not even going to try to
Good
pronounce
luck.
his last name because I know I'll slaughter it. But he was a good player at Eastern Washington, leads them in tackles for loss, sacks, forced fumbles. What do you see from him that has allowed him to make such an impact this season?
Well, he's super active. I mean, the guy just runs through the ball, always kind of has a nose for it. They are not afraid to bring him and blitz him and add him to the front, which gives him an opportunity to kind of be a pass rusher, and the tackles for loss come from there. But mainly just see an energy level where the guy plays hard. I think he's been a spark plug for him. I know their numbers are not great, but he has clearly been a positive addition to what they're doing. So they show you a ton of different looks defensively. Pressure's coming from kind of everywhere. And so I think one of the biggest keys for us is being able to just calm down and kind of assess what we're seeing and where it's coming from and maybe what that gives you, but also just trying to avoid the big negative play or turnover.
Is Coach Spaziani their defensive guy? He's been there a while.
Long time. Yeah, long time. And done a good job. Really, again, I think in a lot of situations, when you look at on paper, I think they've been big underdogs in some games and they've kept it close. He does a good job of playing on the other side of what Doug does offensively. That's not easy with them throwing the ball as much as they do, but they are very tough-nosed, kind of blue-collar, bring the pressure and try to create negative plays. That's really kind of always been their style. Not afraid to mix it up and play man coverage. We've struggled with them in the past out there at times when I think we had them outmanned, and it took us well late into the game to kind of get the games under control. And I think that's a lot of credit to how they coach and the environment they create.
Coach, at this stage of the year, I wanted to ask you one other question. How many red shirts do you really feel like you have right now? I mean, I don't know if you know the number right off the top of your head, but you have a lot. And how are they doing? Do you see a lot in that red shirt group in practice?
Well, I'm not sure what the number is. I'm pleased with the young guys that we have. I am. I think we got some guys that are going to develop really, really well. I think it's easier to look at the class and say, did we miss on somebody? Is this guy maybe not a Division I player? And I can tell those are not conversations we're having to have. We feel like all of them have value. They're all going to develop with our strength program and nutrition and off season. Some of them quicker than others, obviously, and that's always the case. But I feel like it's a good young group that has a chance to really we have a chance to kind of build on. So I'm not sure what that number is, but it's probably, it's probably in the 8 to 10 range at least. The guys that we're kind of holding and really trying to hang on to those years. And even a guy like Aaron Peoples, who's not a young guy, but we're going to be able to get, we're going to be able to utilize his redshirt year and get him another one. So he'll play down the stretch if we need him in 4 games, but he'll still have 2 to play. And to me, that's a guy that you don't consider probably as a redshirt freshman, but clearly going to value, from that extra year.
Coach, what's the attrition level like with the defensive threat for you guys? And not a conference game, but still kind of a dogfight. So what are you hoping can happen from them this week?
I just hope for us to get better and find a way to win. To be honest with you, respect the opponent. I don't think there's any scenario we can even consider doing anything but putting our best team on the field and playing ball. I feel like that every week. If it were to get into a position where we could limit reps, we would. We did some of that in the second half this past week. When we were up 41-10, we got some guys on the field and got some guys off the field, but that's just not a luxury you get to have very often. We're going to have to score points. They score points and they do it well. We got to go win, and so that's really the goal. It's a game, and we're not even really thinking of it as non-conference or conference. We're just trying to go play better ball and get better, and that's the approach we'll go into it with.
Coach Anderson, just curious, what are the odds of you getting guys like Calvin Tyler and Jacob South back this week?
I think there's good. It's good. I mean, Calvin probably could have played Saturday with the hand. We felt like we were getting good play from the guys that were already ready to go, and it was a little bit of a risk to throw him out there. I would expect that this week he'll be able to play. Jacob South was trending in the right direction late in the week, but not quite ready, and I'm hoping we get him back as well. I think they're both very, very reasonable to think they'll be on the plane and on the field.
Coach, I'm curious your thoughts on New Mexico State, and there's rumors they might be going to the Conference USA. And just what's your thoughts on the trickle down effect that maybe OU and UT taking off to the SEC has had across the nation?
Well, there's still a lot of movement going on. There's no doubt. Would not surprise me at all if they do end up in that conference. Clearly, they've been in conferences before, a couple different ones, and played well. I don't know that they really wanted to be independent when all that happened. It was kind of outside their control, but I can see they bring value. It's good. Hey, it's good tradition. They play hard. They'll bring some value to any league that they go into. But I can see, obviously, based off what Conference USA is dealing with right now, where they would be an attractive team and program to try to bring in.
Okay, Al Lewis from KBNU Radio and Logan. Just want you to talk about how you got here to Utah State, what you felt about your career before, when you were pro and things like that. Talk about that.
Okay, I graduated high school in 2016, and I signed and went to play football at South Dakota State. I redshirted a year, played special teams primarily my redshirt freshman year. Decided to enter the transfer portal and ended up going to JUCO route like many guys do. It's coming from FCS program. Earned a scholarship from there, and went to Troy University, where I got hurt my first season, and then I did have a daughter be born while I was there, so I decided to opt out the second year due to COVID concerns. And then once I graduated with my bachelor's degree, and Coach Brown was my corner coach there at Troy, decided to leave and come here, decided to explore my options, and I trusted him and wanted to come here to pursue a master's degree and continue to play.
So it sounds like then your tie with Coach was the big part of you coming to Utah State, really. Is that kind of what happened?
There definitely was a trust factor. He was the first coach to talk to me out of junior college when he was at Abilene Christian, and then again at Troy, and then again here. He's the first coach to contact me when I entered the transfer portal. So there definitely is a trust factor. It was a big factor into my decision.
Hey, Mont or Monty?
Monte. Tay is fine, but Monte is the correct pronunciation.
Okay, all right, my bad. I'll get that right from now on. The defensive line did a good job on Saturday. Halle had a couple of sacks. Henniger and Byron were getting pressure all game long. Patrick was getting in the mix a few times there. Both those, the defensive line kind of helped set the tone for both interceptions. So ultimately, how much easier does that make your job in the secondary when they're able to get to the quarterback?
Oh, it's a lot easier. And both positions know that it go hand in hand. When we're covering good, it's easier for them to get to the quarterback. When they get to the quarterback, it's hard for the quarterback to sit there and let the routes develop. So definitely have to credit the line. They did an amazing job last game, and it made it easier on me for sure to get to the ball and make plays when they came my way.
Hey, Monte, I'm Jake Nielsen. You mentioned you have a daughter and you've been a lot of different places. What kind of a lifestyle change was this to follow Coach Brown out to Logan?
It's definitely a change coming from Troy, but I am from Omaha, Nebraska, so the weather is not too much different, kind of what I'm used to. And like I said, I went to South Dakota State, and I had to stop at Iowa Western. So the weather isn't bad at all, isn't a big change. The time difference, isn't a really big change either. But the scenery definitely is something that we both enjoy, me and my girlfriend, and it's been a fun time to have my daughter out here being able to watch me play.
Okay, go into how this secondary is developed. I mean, are you still playing where you started the year? Are you starting to play other positions, or how is that going on?
Since I've been here, I've primarily been at the field safety, and that's where I've been at a majority of the games. In some packages, I have slid in and played the nickel or slot cornerback, and I've also played outside cornerback in the goal line defense. But primarily, I've been at field safety for majority of the season.
Do you feel like, though, as the years gone on, this group, talk about how this group has come together?
A big point of emphasis for us is just to execute your job. And I think as the year went on, we started trusting each other more. So I think that's where you see the improvements, trying to eliminate those big plays. For the majority of the game, I think we play together well. We're excited for one another, and we limit the offense and what they can do. But then there's these little critical errors that we have, or big critical errors that we have throughout the game where you see the big plays, and that's kind of where we've been able to improve and been able to start faster, start games, and be able to kind of finish strong and not have it such a close game at the end.
You came in a little bit later than maybe some of the guys after the year last year, but what has it been like to go from a one-win football team last year, do you think, being around now you're seeing to where you're at right now as a football team?
I'm definitely proud and happy for the guys that have been here and had to go through that last year. And I'm definitely proud for all the transfers that came in, because we all have different stories, but just proud that we all been able to come in and focus on the common goal of to improve last year, and now being a bowl eligible team has definitely been exciting.
I asked Byron a similar question post-game press conference on Saturday, but early in the season, it was Justin Rice that was essentially creating most if not all the turnovers. That's really you guys have flipped the switch as a team the last few games where all different kinds of guys are coming up with takeaways. So how big of a deal is it that you're developing into a more well-rounded defense?
I think it's something that we knew we can do from the beginning. I think we all trust one another when we're out there. I was talking with the cornerback group as a whole at our last practice. I'm comfortable and confident with anybody that's out there, the whole group, and I look in front of me, whether it's Justin, Kevin, AJ, whoever's at linebacker or in that D-line, I'm confident that the play is going to be made and they're going to do their job. So it's definitely, and it's exciting to see different guys get out there and make plays instead of, the same guy being in the media or being at these interviews every week. It's definitely exciting seeing different guys getting some attention.
Monte, what's it like to get an interception? How does that feel?
Well, I got a celebration penalty for it, so kind of explain a little bit there. But it's definitely exciting, all the work that you put in. You've seen yourself make that play 1,000 times over out there by yourself or at practice or on a scout team. So to see it all come together and you make the play in the game, everybody's excited, and we all know that it's coming. We prepared for it. So it's definitely a great feeling. And it was my first one, so it's something I'm going to remember.
I always like to start off, Justin, Al Lewis at KBNU Radio here in Logan. I like to hear background. Give us your bio, a little bit of how you ended up at Utah State, places you've been, and what it's been like to be here.
Okay, well, I graduated high school at 2018 at Jefferson, Tampa, Florida. Out of high school, I went to Nebraska with Coach Frost and his staff from the past 2018 UCF night. So I went there, redshirted my freshman year, didn't really get a lot of play time within that time. Transferred after that year, 2019, rolled into ASA Miami, a small JUCO in Miami. I got my Utah State offer after my snow game after we played the rival school out here. So I ended up coming here last year, rolling into 2020 into the 1-5 year. And, I decided to stay after the year. I trusted the staff. So, that's kind of my little bio of how I stayed and ended up here.
How do you feel as far as what this staff has done to make your game better as a receiver? And this receiving core, obviously very talented and lots of you can do things.
Well, I just feel it's a trust factor. These guys really trust us. They don't really try to change too much of our game. They kind of let us be good at what we're good at. And, they don't try to change too much. They just really trust us on the field and allow us to grow. So, I feel like that's the biggest thing that helped me is so far as this, just them showing that trust factor in me. They allow me to be out there and allow me to make a mistake and still come back to it the next play and still, still allow me to work. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Justin, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. Obviously, Devin Tompkins has got a lot of attention this year, and rightfully so, but it's just really been coming together lately. Derek's played well all season. You played really well the last couple of games, especially. Carson Terrell obviously he's a tight end, but he made some plays on Saturday. Bowling's had a good year. So how fun has it been to see this group come together and be dynamic all across the board?
It's been pretty fun, been pretty amazing. Be excited for you guys. Especially the guys that was here with me last year, like Carson and D. Wright, who went through that 1-5 year. So it's kind of exciting. Then the transfers like Brandon coming in, making a splash. That DT also doing his thing. He's always been doing that. So it's just been fun to be a part of. Just to see your brothers excited for them for doing what they do best. So, it's been fun all around. Your Coach Cefalo's out there excited for us. We're all dancing, we're all laughing, we're all having a good time. So, it's pretty fun for me.
Hey, Justin, Jake Nielsen. Dive into that a little bit more, specifically with Coach Cefalo. It seems like you guys all have a really good relationship with him. And how does he help you guys be better receivers?
Well, Cefalo just break our game down separately. Like he breaks each individual game down, and he just works off that. So he chooses your best version of you, and once you involve into that, he breaks the game down to a different dynamic than that has been shown to us before. He shows us defense, he shows us the holes. And, he gives us different scenarios that helps us, that kind of helps us in the game where we are talked about it or we seen it in practice or we made a mistake here and he comes down and he comes back and fixes that mistake. So, Coach Cefalo, he's just, all around is a good coach. He doesn't do too much. He really lets you be you as a receiver. So, that's what any receiver will want as a coach.
Can I ask you, Justin, you're 6'6" and you go up against defensive backs who normally are not that tall. Is that a big advantage, or have you been able to make that an advantage, or do you need to make it more of an advantage than you have so far?
I take an advantage from every situation. Some DBs are smaller than me. Some DBs are kind of my height. I don't really see the difference between two. I attack them the same way. So, I take advantage of every situation I'm in. I can't really control what happens outside of, the targets or the number of throws, but the stuff I can control of taking advantage of that. That's why I work on it, handling the most.
Noticed in your bio, you did play basketball once.
Yeah. I was a basketball guy out of high school.
Player?
Yeah, I'm pretty smooth at basketball. I'm not sorry. I'm good at it. I can get out there and get some points.
But football's where you should be?
Football is where I've always had my love at. Basketball and track was kind of, it was kind of a way for help me to get better at football. Honestly, that's how I looked at it. So that's why I took it as that.
Justin,
go ahead, Jake.
Oh, cool. Justin, you feel like your performance against Hawaii, was that your best of the season, or do you feel like you've had some other big games?
It's a long season, so I wouldn't say best for the season. So far, yeah, I feel like I had a pretty good game, but I just stuck with the game plan. I didn't really do anything too much different. I just stuck with the game plan, executed my assignment, and the ball just kind of swung my way, and I was just ready for my opportunities that came.
I think this was just an obvious question. The players will be, you're going out of conference play. You're playing a team that hasn't had a great year, and but the coaching staff, you guys always prepare for games the same way. Will you for sure prepare for the game the same way this week? Do you have all the others?
Oh yeah, we attack. We don't never downlook a team. We attack every team the same way. We attack practice the same way. Because at the end of the day, we're not only competing against the team. We're competing against ourselves. We try to do our best to get 1 degree better every day. That Coach Anderson preaches. So we attack everybody the same. We don't see anybody different. We don't downgrade our opponent. We don't upgrade our opponent. We look at every opponent the same.
Justin, I've actually talked to you about this in the past, but share a little bit about your relationship with Devin Tompkins. And you guys are roommates, both Florida boys, and then he's already over 1,000 yards receiving. So what have you seen? What's kind of his mindset as we're going week by week here?
DT has the same mindset he has every week. Just wants to get better. Just want to keep improving. Every little thing he feel like he could work on, that's what we both try to work on. As a receiver group and as a brother, we just try to work on each other, help each other, boost each other up to keep each other better. So I mean, his mindset don't really change. His mindset is the same. He attacks every week, just like we preach. So